GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good night, Montreal.
Quebec Police Ethics Commissioner has opened an investigation into alleged racist conduct by officers of the Montreal North Police Service. The probe, announced today, follows a series of complaints that officers used discriminatory language and applied excessive force against residents of the borough's diverse communities. The commissioner, appointed in 2022, emphasized the need for public confidence in policing. The commissioner's office said it will examine internal reports, interview witnesses, and review video evidence to determine whether the conduct violates the province's code of ethics. Montreal North, long noted for its multicultural population, has a history of strained relations with law enforcement, making the inquiry especially consequential. Police leadership has pledged full cooperation, while community groups are urging swift transparency. The office will release updates as the fact-finding proceeds. The investigation will run concurrently with ongoing oversight mechanisms, and findings are expected to be reported to the provincial government later this year.
Les Suprams, Montreal's elite women's synchronized skating squad, are setting their sights on a spot in the brand new Synchro 9 event for the 2030 Winter Games. The team, which has dominated national competitions for years, will begin the qualification process later this year as the International Skating Union rolls out the first Olympic program for women's synchronized skating. The 2030 Games will introduce 16 new events, a move designed to bring male and female participation into balance, and the Synchro 9 competition is a centerpiece of that effort. Coach Marie-Claude Boussachar said the athletes are thrilled to represent the island on a global stage and are training intensively at the Bell Center's ice rink. If they secure a berth, it would mark the first time a Canadian women's team competes in Olympic synchronized skating.
Internet sensation Nurse John, the former emergency room nurse who turned viral videos into a comedy career, will headline 2 shows as part of the Just for Laughs festival. Both performances are slated for next Sunday, July 24, at the Salle Wilfrid Pelletier. Organizers say his act will anchor the evening lineup, offering audiences a blend of medical anecdotes and offbeat humor. The festival's schedule lists John as the featured headliner for the 2-night slot, a rare double booking that underscores his rapid rise from bedside to stage. Tickets are on sale through the festival's official portal, and fans can expect a full house in the historic venue. The shows mark the latest milestone in John's transition from internet star to live performance comedian within the city's summer cultural calendar. Critics anticipate his witty take on healthcare will resonate with a broad audience.
9 Cuban canoeists have sought asylum in Canada after competing in Montreal this week. The athletes, who arrived for the World Cup and the Pan American Championship held in the city, vanished from their hotel late Tuesday night and turned themselves over to local authorities on Thursday evening. Police confirmed the group approached officers at the Bell Center area, declaring their intention to remain in Canada. Consular officials from Havana were notified, and the Canadian Immigration Office has opened formal proceedings. The defections come amid heightened scrutiny of athlete travel from the Caribbean nation, following several high-profile departures in recent years. Officials said the individuals will be housed in temporary accommodation while their cases are reviewed, and they will not be allowed to compete internationally until their status is resolved.
Public health officials are warning that overdose incidents are climbing sharply, and the number of naloxone kits administered this summer has already equaled the total recorded for the entire previous year. Data compiled by the city's health authority show a steady uptick in drug-related emergencies over the past several months, a trend they attribute to an increasingly toxic illicit drug supply. The surge has prompted calls for expanded outreach and distribution of life-saving antidotes, while hospitals report more patients arriving in critical condition. Authorities stress that the situation remains fluid and that monitoring will continue throughout the season. Residents are urged to seek immediate help if they suspect an overdose, as rapid response can be the difference between life and death. The department has also expanded naloxone dispensing sites to several boroughs, including the Plateau, Verdun, and St. Henry, to improve rapid access.
Coming up, we'll break down a small plane crash at the Metropolitan Airport and what's next for the injured pilot. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. Here's a quick recap of the top headlines, then Rachel will take us through the local stories you need to hear.
At approximately 9 a.m. today, a small single-engine aircraft went down on the runway of the Montreal Metropolitan Airport in Longueuil. The pilot, who was the sole occupant, suffered minor injuries and was taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. Airport officials shut down the affected runway for several hours while emergency crews cleared the wreckage and inspected the site for safety hazards. Flights were temporarily rerouted to the alternate runway, causing modest delays for passengers traveling to and from the greater Montreal area. The Transport Canada investigation team arrived shortly after the incident to begin a preliminary review of the aircraft's maintenance records and weather conditions at the time of the crash. No other persons were involved and no further injuries were reported. Local police and fire units coordinated the response, ensuring that nearby road traffic was redirected safely around the airport perimeter.
Significant road closures are slated for this coming Saturday and Sunday, targeting key arteries across the greater Montreal area, with the Mercier Bridge expected to bear the brunt of the congestion. Commuters who rely on the bridge to cross the St. Lawrence River should anticipate slower travel times and plan alternate routes. Construction crews will be working on bridge maintenance and nearby highway improvements, forcing lane reductions and detours throughout the weekend. The closures will affect both northbound and southbound traffic, potentially extending rush hour delays by 15 to 20 minutes. Drivers are urged to check real-time traffic updates before departing and consider public transit where feasible. Local delivery services also warn of possible slowdowns, which could affect timing of online orders and grocery drops. Residents heading to weekend errands, school events, or work should allow extra time to avoid being caught in gridlock.
New research released today shows that slashing emissions from Montreal's transport network could prevent a substantial number of early deaths. The study, conducted by local scientists, links the heavy pollutants emitted by cars, trucks, and buses to premature mortality, estimating that hundreds of lives could be saved each year if those emissions were sharply reduced. Analysts point out that the transportation sector remains the single biggest source of airborne toxins in the region, contributing to heart disease, respiratory trouble, and other fatal conditions. Health officials note that cleaner streets would not only improve air quality, but also lessen the strain on hospitals and emergency services. The findings arrive as city planners debate new low-emission zones and expanded public transit options, underscoring the potential significant public health payoff of faster immediate action.
Later today, 2 rising ATP players will step onto the courts in the qualifying rounds of the National Bank Open. Australia's Alexei Popyrin and Britain's Arthur Furry both need to win their early matches to earn a place in the main draw of the city's premier tennis tournament. The qualifiers give lower-ranked competitors a chance to break into a field that usually features the world's top names, and fans can catch the action at the venue before the headline matches begin. Organizers say the early rounds often produce surprising performances, offering a glimpse of the next generation of talent. Those attending the qualifiers will see both players vie for a spot, and the outcomes could shape the lineup for the later stages of the event. Local supporters often fill the stands, adding energy to the early matches and making the atmosphere feel like a community rally.
Earlier today, just after 5 p.m., a vehicle struck 2 cyclists at the corner of Frontenac and St. Catherine in the Ville-Marie borough. Both riders, each in their 60s, were thrown from their bicycles. Emergency responders rushed them to hospital. One cyclist was listed in critical condition while the other sustained injuries but remained stable. Police are investigating the collision and have not released details about the driver. The incident adds to ongoing municipal scrutiny of cyclist safety in the district, where traffic accidents involving bicycles are regularly tracked. Authorities remind motorists to observe shared road rules, especially at busy intersections. Frontenac and St. Catherine is a major east-west corridor that sees heavy bike traffic during rush hour. City traffic engineers have implemented additional bike lane markings in the sector. The rider in critical condition is being treated at a trauma center. The investigation remains open as officials review witness statements and dash cam footage.
Let's get a look at your night forecast with our meteorologist tonight.
A deepening high pushes dry air north.
leaving Montreal under clear skies as the jet stream sharpens. On this date, the all-time heat peaked at 33.7 degrees Celsius back in 2018, a blistering mark that arrived during a July heat wave. The coldest reading was 10.4 degrees Celsius recorded in 2015, when an Arctic surge slipped through the Great Lakes and plunged the city into a freeze. By comparison, the climatological average high hovers around 24 degrees and the average low near 15, underscoring how today's 27-degree high sits well above normal, while the nighttime low of 13 still feels mild. Scanning the live mosaic, the reflectivity canvas is spotless from the St. Lawrence eastward to the Laurentians. No rain bands or snow showers register, confirming the high-pressure dome that has sealed off moisture. With the jet stream racing northwest aloft, any stray disturbance will be sheared away before reaching the urban core. The map stays clear as we shift to tonight's outlook. At 11 tonight, Montreal sits under a clear sky with 18 degrees Celsius at the surface and a modest 45% humidity. The wind blows 11 kilometers per hour from the northwest, gusting up to 33, and feels a touch stronger across the harbor, where gusts reach 36 kilometers per hour from the west. A high-pressure ridge is deepening, pressure rising and sealing in dry air, while the jet stream thunders overhead at 136 kilometers per hour from the northwest, steering any lingering disturbances far to the east. With the UV index holding at 6 and no active alerts, conditions remain calm through the night. The low will dip to 13 before sunrise, and we now turn to the 5-day outlook. Looking ahead, Friday repeats tonight's warmth with a high of 27 and a low of 13, but clouds thicken, leaving the city overcast and wind gusting up to 36 kilometers per hour from the west. Saturday, a slow-moving low from the Great Lakes brings a 90% rain chance and cooler air, high 23, low 14 with moderate breezes. Sunday clears to bright skies, high 23, low 16. Monday stays overcast, high 24, low 16. Tuesday ends the stretch with light rain, an 80% probability, high 25 and low 18. The lingering trough to the east injects moisture midweek before high pressure rebuilds for the weekend. And that's your weather. Remember, the wrap is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
Later we'll dive into this weekend's Mercier Bridge traffic, preview tonight. Just for laughs shows, and catch the MLS Clash. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
And now here's Jason with sports.
Soccer, hockey, and Montreal, here is what is happening tonight. A local rivalry was on the pitch this evening as CF Montreal squared off against Toronto FC in MLS action. Kickoff was set for 7:30 Eastern, so the full result may still be coming in. Sportsnet was tracking the match live. Stay with us for the final score. In Northern Super League action earlier this week, the Montreal Roses got the job done in the 77th minute. Substitute Chloe Minas stepped up to the penalty spot and converted, giving Montreal a 1-0 victory over the visiting Halifax Tides. A clinical finish from the bench. Mark your calendars, Canadiens fans, opening night has a date. The 2026-27 NHL season gets underway September 29th with an all-Canadian showdown. Montreal heads to Toronto to face the Maple Leafs, while Edmonton hosts Vancouver later that same evening.
On a crisp Saturday morning in the Plateau's St. Louis Square, a small group of volunteers gathered beside the bronze statue of a laughing child, their backpacks brimming with naloxone kits and pamphlets. Led by Marie Claude, a former paramedic-turned-community organizer, they were preparing for the first Safe Streets pop-up the city has hosted after the Regional Health Directorate announced a vigilance alert on carfentanil overdoses. The air smelled of fresh coffee from a nearby cafe, and a teenage skateboarder paused to watch the volunteers arrange a bright orange table, his curiosity turning into a question about how he could help a neighbor. As the afternoon unfolded, a passerby who had struggled with addiction stepped forward, shaking hands with Marie Claude and receiving a dose of naloxone that saved his life just minutes later. Around the table, strangers exchanged stories, laughter rose over shared recipes for homemade soup, and a sense of collective responsibility settled over the square. In moments like this, Montreal's neighborhoods turn crisis into caring, reminding us that the strongest response is the one that comes from the heart of the community.
Inside the dome of Montreal's Olympic Stadium, a hum of activity replaces the echo of empty seats. Late afternoon light filters through renovated glass panels, catching teal paint that now lines the lower tier. The province's approval of interior work, announced earlier this week, means the venue that opened for the 1976 Summer Games will soon host events again, from youth hockey clinics to local music festivals. Provincial officials, city planners, and volunteers gathered for a ribbon-cutting ceremony on the stadium's West Concourse, where a group of elementary students unveiled a hand-drawn mural depicting the tower's iconic silhouette against a sunrise. The mural, painted on an installed wall, symbolizes a new chapter, a space once known for its structural woes now becoming a gathering place for families. The renovation budget, allocated over several years, focuses on improving acoustics, upgrading seating comfort, and adding accessible pathways, ensuring every visitor feels welcomed. As the first families file into the refurbished arena for a concert tonight, the renewed energy inside the stadium feels like a shared victory for Montreal. It's a reminder that even the grandest structures thrive when a city cares for them.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us on the wrap. Tonight's unexpected defection of 9 Cuban canoeists reminded us how global stories find a home here. We appreciate your curiosity and look forward to bringing you more insight tomorrow. Stay safe, stay informed, and keep the conversation going.